Do you agree with the US that Ukraine shouldn't be a NATO member and that its borders, like Crimea, needs to stay in? It's unrealistic to think it will go back to Ukraine.
Well, Secretary Hegseth today made clear that it was not the US view that NATO membership would be part of any immediate settlement, but NATO's made a long-term commitment to Ukraine, that its rightful place is in NATO. There's going to have to be a clear process for that, and it will take time. The important thing is that we are ready to support Ukraine in its fighting, ready to support Ukraine if it starts talking, and ready to support Ukraine beyond the fighting when we hope it stops.
And what about the Crimea? Is it okay for Crimea to remain in Russian hands?
It's the Ukrainians that are doing the fighting. It's for them to decide when to start talking and on what terms. And that will be part of the negotiations, and I think we're getting ahead of ourselves with that sort of detail.
So Donald Trump has said that NATO members need to spend 5% of GDP on their defences. Mark Rutte is saying north of 3%. Is the UK government going to have to reconsider its defence spending target of, at some point in the future, 2.5% of GDP?
European NATO nations are doing more. They're spending more on defence. The non-US NATO members this year increased defence spending. Together, we increased by 20%, nearly $80 billion. Everyone accepts we need to spend more on defence. We're a government that was elected just last year with a commitment to increase UK defence spending to 2.5% of GDP. That's a level we've not spent in the UK since 2010, when Labour was last in government. And we've already increased funding for defence this year by £3 billion. We are doing more. We know we must do more still. And with other European allies, we will.
So do you believe that it will need to go above 2.5% for the UK?
We're increasing defence spending. We've already done it. No, we've already done it for this year.
It's important, though. Are you credible? How can you possibly be credible sticking to 2.5%? You're the Defence Secretary. Are you comfortable with the UK only aiming to spend 2.5%?
I'm proud we're a government that was elected to increase defence spending.
To 2.5%?
That we've made a commitment to increase defence spending that we've not seen in Britain for 15 years.
There's a war in Europe.
That is part of the wider effort that I was chairing, where European nations and others recognise that we must increase defence spending, and we will.
Can you commit, therefore, if the UK government policy remains at 2.5% spending for defence, that you will not cut any part of the UK armed forces?
We will increase defence spending.
Can you commit that you won't cut anything?
We will increase defence spending because we must do that to meet the threats.